Israel has bombed and occupied parts of Gaza City many times already in this war. But with its pledge to defeat Hamas by force still unmet, none of this destruction is ever quite enough. The plan now, a gradual military takeover of what's left here. The forced evacuation of hundreds of thousands of people, Israel's fractious governing coalition kept together, international condemnation ignored, but the war brought to what's left of the enemy, even if that enemy melts away among the refugees in the middle of the night.
Why do you want to do a ground invasion? What goals do you have? I want to understand. There's nothing left here that you haven't wiped out already.
The Tel Aviv waterfront is just a few miles up the same coast, a pristine and parallel universe, and yet the message in the sand is the same as in Gaza itself. Israelis fear an extension of this war will endanger their hostages and result in the deaths of more Israeli soldiers.
I know the plan is to get rid of Hamas, but we've been trying for 2 whole years. We haven't made that much progress, and we've lost so many soldiers, and we still haven't brought all the hostages home. So it just doesn't seem that there's any real forward movement with this plan.
That view is not a million miles from that of Israel's chief of staff. General Eyal Zamir was only appointed in February, but last night the new broom disagreed with his political master. Zamir reportedly pointed out that his reservist troops are exhausted, and instead he called for a ceasefire. Though a 10-hour marathon meeting of heads of security ended with Prime Minister Netanyahu winning majority backing. But the plan to invade Gaza City has reignited anti-government protest. Demonstrators claiming that Netanyahu is less interested in the lives of 20 or so hostages than he is in keeping his own coalition alive. The hope among some hostage families that the threat of full-scale invasion is a negotiating tactic with Hamas.
What I do hope will happen, that in the course of this 2 to 3 weeks, something will move and the Hamas will realize that they have no choice but to give up their arms and return the hostages.
The Belgians were dropping aid today. They also summoned the Israeli ambassador in Brussels, describing Israel's actions as having the potential to wipe Palestine completely off the map. Keir Starmer called the reoccupation wrong, saying it would lead to more bloodshed. But Germany banned the sale of weapons which could be used here. The Europeans least likely to take action, now feeling that they have no choice, though the Americans have given Israel the green light.
I don't understand why some of these other nations are once again putting all the pressure on Israel and why they're not putting the pressure on Hamas to let the hostages go, all of them, including the ones that are clearly starving. That's what I think we all scratch our heads over.
Israel's Prime Minister says any occupation will be temporary, that Gaza will be handed over to so-called Arab forces, though Arab and Western diplomats would like to know what he means by that. And for these Palestinians, being uprooted again is more than they can bear thinking about.
We were surprised by the Cabinet's decision to relocate people of the north to the south. We categorically reject it. Entire families have been erased from the civil registry. Enough is enough.
But instead of ending this war, Israel is expanding it, intensifying a strategy which has already killed many tens of thousands of people and now endangers the lives of many more.
Well, the Foreign Secretary David Lammy has been meeting the US Vice President JD Vance at Chevening. Amelia Jen is in Westminster with more. Amelia.
Well, while Trump has said that any plans Israel has to take over the Gaza Strip are up to Israel, this morning the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, released a statement saying this latest escalation was wrong. He urged Israel to reconsider, saying it would lead only to more bloodshed. And it's amid this backdrop that the US Vice President JD Vance is beginning a 2-day visit to Chevening, the grace and favour mansion of the Foreign Secretary, Sir David Lammy, who today said that he was hugely concerned by Israel's plans.
And hugely concerned, as I think a lot of Israeli people are, about the impact, particularly on the hostages, and we'll be able to discuss these issues in the hours ahead.
Well, Vance was asked whether Trump had been told in advance of Israel's plans. He didn't say no, saying only that that was a private conversation. He wouldn't go into private conversations. He was also asked what he made of the UK's ultimatum to Israel, saying that it would recognise Palestine if it didn't meet certain conditions. He wouldn't be drawn, saying only that the US wouldn't do that itself.
We want to make it so that Hamas cannot attack innocent Israeli civilians ever again, and we think that has to come through the eradication of Hamas. Second, the president has been very moved by these terrible images of the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, so we want to make sure that we solve that problem. We share, I think, that focus and that goal. We may have some disagreements about how exactly to accomplish that goal, and we'll talk about that today.
So a bit of a love-in.
Yes, this is a private visit squeezed in during a Vance family holiday to the UK, and any sort of discomfort there might be over a difference of position towards Israel was sort of quite deftly smoothed over. The pair were even photographed fishing together. In fact, they spent the first half of the press engagement joking about it, talking about how close their children now were. Vance saying Lammy had become a good friend. But if you remember, just months ago, he accused the UK of retreating from free speech. He insulted the UK and France over its plans for a peace deal in Ukraine. A very different picture from those armchairs each evening today ahead of Trump's state visit next month.
Let me the agenda. Well, I'm joined now by Yehuda Cohen, whose son is a hostage still being held in Gaza. He joins us from Rehovot. Thank you very much for joining us. What do you feel about this expansion?
Well, you said it yourself before. Netanyahu is working from political and personal interests. He's expanding the war, although vast majority of the Israeli population are against it. The chief staff is against it. Experts are against it, and it's directly endangering the hostages, endangering my son Nimrod. We are shouting more than a year that only a ceasefire will bring us a deal. And we know Netanyahu is working the opposite direction. I'm pretty much disappointed from the Trump administration. They started with big promises, did the first deal, and then just gave Netanyahu free pass to do whatever he wants to do, which was obvious to continue the war to protect his coalition.
Right. So, I mean, is there anything, do you think, that can be done to prevent this or curtail it?
Well, I think Britain, the UK, France, Germany are going the right direction. Armed sanction on Israel, declaration of Palestinian state is the right direction for the obvious reason. Any pressure on Netanyahu is ignoring public opinion in Israel. So we need the Western world to help us. The United States are not helping us. We see that Donald Trump is clearly aligned with Netanyahu. So any pressure for any other country, mainly now is the UK, France, and Germany, is something that can help us. And I'm saying help us not just as father of a hostage, help us as Israeli citizen to end the war.
So, I mean, what would your message to Keir Starmer be right now? I mean, he intends to recognize the Palestinian state. Do you think he should go further on an arms embargo, for example?
I think we should go further. I will tell you more than that. I was speaking to the UK ambassador here in Israel, Simon Rogers, and Simon Walters, sorry, asking to have a meeting with David Lammy to publicly support this act. This is our only chance to end the war. Help from Europe and the UK, emphasizing Europe and the UK, will help us force Netanyahu to end the war, get a hostage deal, and move forward.
I mean, when you see the intensified bombing of Gaza City and the intention to take it over, I mean, what are your feelings about your son?
My feeling about my son is directly been endangered. After surviving for 22 months in horrible condition, I'm afraid it's all for nothing. He's going to be murdered either by IDF bombing, IDF maneuvering, or he'll be murdered by Hamas terrorists. Last thing they'll do before they run away, last thing they'll do when their back is to the wall. And that will be the end of it. In general, I mean, it's not that we want to save Hamas. Hamas needs to be eliminated as a terrorist organization, as an armed organization. But like Hezbollah, it can be done after ceasefire. It can be done with cooperation with other countries, including our neighbors, Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia. It can be done by that, but since Netanyahu, again, is working from political interests, mainly pressure from his extremists in the government, Ben Gvir and Smotrich, they want to occupy Gaza only for the purpose of annexating it and rebuilding settlements there. They have ideologic interest in Gaza. That's why they didn't refuse to go to a ceasefire in Lebanon or Iran, but did in Gaza now even after 22 months.
Yehuda Cohen, thank you very much indeed. Well, joining us from Ramallah is Mustafa Barghouti, who is the founder and leader of the Palestinian National Initiative. The Israeli plan now is to exclude not just Hamas, but the Palestinian Authority, and any Palestinian authority that exists, it seems. Where does that leave the Palestinians in their goal of self-determination?
You've heard even the views of an Israeli father. Much of what he said is correct. What we are dealing with now is an Israeli fascist government. It's fascist. And the people like Smotrich and Ben Gvir, they call themselves fascists. And this policy of this government is absolutely fascist because their goal is not just occupation of all of Gaza, it's not just ethnic cleansing of Palestinians from all of Gaza. It is actually to wipe Palestinians from the map, both in Gaza and in the West Bank. And Netanyahu is proceeding with that. Netanyahu is a pathological liar. He has lied to the world. He has lied to the Israeli people. He has lied to everybody. He claimed he cares about the Israeli captives, but actually he's going to kill them now. He claims he wanted a ceasefire agreement, but he's the one who undermined it. He claims that he's fighting Hamas, but actually he wants to erase the whole Palestinian population. And his goal now is not just to occupy Gaza, but to ethnically cleanse the people, moving them to the worst kind of concentration camp in the south of Gaza, and force them out.
He obviously says he doesn't want to take over Gaza. He just wants to help the people be free of Hamas, is what he says. In terms of your alternative of a post-Hamas government, how would it be pulled together and who would support it?
Well, I think Netanyahu lied twice in the same day. His statement of his government was that he's going to take over Gaza. Instead of saying occupying it, he said taking it over. And now he says, I don't want to take it over. Come on. This man is constantly lying. But what's the alternative? The alternative is there. We had a meeting more than a year ago in Beijing of all Palestinian groups, the 14 parties, including Hamas and Jihad and Fatah and everybody. And Hamas told us they have no intention and they don't want to be in the government or stay in the government or be in any government. And we agreed to create a national consensus independent government accepted by everybody that would maintain the unity of West Bank and Gaza, that could take over the responsibility of reconstructing Gaza, and that could prepare for what we deserve as people, like the British people, like the French people, like everybody. I mean, which is to democratically choose our leadership.
This feels still like something of a negotiation. Israel says, it puts military pressure on Hamas as a way of getting its way. Do you think Hamas can do anything now to prevent the total occupation of Gaza?
Hamas declared they are ready to hand over all the Israeli captives in exchange of releasing some of the Palestinian captives that nobody speaks about. I don't know if you know that 400 children, Palestinian children, are in Israeli jails. They are also captives. There are 3,650 Palestinians who are under administrative detention in Israeli prisons without charges, without legal process. So no, Hamas is ready to hand over all the hostages immediately in exchange of ending the war. That's what your Israeli guest was calling for. Everybody needs the end of this terrible war. What Israel has done is to combine genocide with collective punishment, starvation of the people, and now they want to ethnically cleanse all of the population of Gaza. This is a war crime. And that's why Netanyahu is a war criminal that is wanted by the International Criminal Court.